again, the idea that the greatest force of healing in the human experience is HOPE. Having HOPE in your life. Many years ago, probably about 10 or 12 years ago, I came across a book by a psychologist, a Jewish psychologist named Viktor Frankl. Man's Search for Meaning. I read this book a number of times. One of the most powerful books to change your thought process from negativity and victimization into empowerment, into positivity, radical positivity. And Viktor Frankl was a psychologist that was rounded up in Auschwitz in the concentration camps. And he chronicles in his book his entire journey from beginning to end and how he survived the experience and essentially made it out. Really powerful work. If you think you're having a bad day, you think you're down on your luck, pick up this book. Because it's all about the human perseverance story, right? It's easy to give up in life. It's easy to give up on ourselves, to just give in, to compromise, to cut corners. But what if we can assume a faculty of perseverance? What if we can assume an attitude of a winner, the archetype of a champion? No matter what the scoreboard says, there's always hope. There's minutes left on the clock. We can make it. We can do it. We can pull through. That's really what it's all about. Someone's on their deathbed. Two people are suffering from the same disease on their deathbed. One person pulls out, the other person doesn't. What is that distinction? What is that ingredient that allows somebody to pull through? The primary force is hope. They have something to live for. They have people to live for. They have a mission in their life. They have something that's calling them, that's telling them that their time is not up. It's not time to punch the clock yet. There's still time on the scoreboard. We can make it. If you're still alive, then your work's not done. You still have more work to do. Okay, so this is one of my favorite things too. So a man named Joseph Campbell, you may know who he is. Joseph Campbell, he created this idea, or he talked a lot about this idea of the hero's journey. He was a mentor towards a man named George Lucas. You know George Lucas?
Star Wars?
He downloaded Star Wars. He didn't make Star Wars. He literally downloaded it while filming it. If you watch the Star Wars documentaries, which I did many times, many years ago, as I was obsessed with Star Wars, now I know why I was obsessed with Star Wars. Now I know why everybody is obsessed with Star Wars. That really paid it, watched it growing up. Now I understand the archetypical connection that's intrinsic to the human experience. It's something called the hero's journey. And when George Lucas actually was filming that movie, he had no idea really about the storyline, that Luke's father was going to be Darth Vader. I mean, the whole thing was like pretty much like a streamline of consciousness. And when you watch the movie again, you realize like the nuances. Like, wow, this is like perfectly weaved together. Yoda, the Force, right? The whole, the Jedi Knights, the dark and the light. I mean, the whole thing is so crazy, perfectly put together. And George Lucas didn't even know what he was doing. He had a completely different idea until it all started to come together. And so the idea of the hero's journey is basically, it's like a chronological sequence of what somebody goes through in essentially their transformation process. This is the science of transformation. And this is basically, if you know this and you study this, you can see what phase you're in and how all your life has been like a movie reel, leading you to one step to the next. So part one is the call to adventure. That's when you get the call. That's when you get the message, right? Like, okay, you're going to promote this nutrition message. You're going to travel all around the world. You're going to be telling people about raw foods and superfoods and how they can change their life by changing their health. That's the call. That's how it starts, right? But you're still in the ordinary world. You're working your job. You got your family. You got all your obligations. All that stuff's still normal, but you got the call. It's inkling. It's the muse kind of like itching at you, right? And then from there, call to action, and then there's the refusal. Remember in Star Wars, if you remember, Luke Skywalker gets the call of action. He meets with Obi-Wan, and Obi-Wan tells him, "Oh, you're the one. You're the one we've been waiting for, and you got to come with me, and we got to go do this mission." And Luke Skywalker's like, "No, what? Huh? No, like, I can't really do that. I got to be back. I got to work the farm. I got to help my family. Blah blah blah." Right? Remember that? So Obi-Wan's like, "Oh, okay, whatever." Stupid kid. And then what happens though? After the refusal, gets the mentor's help, then crossing the threshold. This is part 2, supreme ordeal, initiation. The initiation point. He comes back to the farm, and the stormtroopers had come by and laid it out. Killed his parents, destroyed the whole farm, left him with nothing to return back to. Right? Burnt the bridge. So it's like, oh, okay, I have nothing to go back to. I guess I better go with this dude and, embark on this journey. Crossing the threshold. And then from here, test allies, enemies. He goes into the bar, remember that? And then now he's like, this is like the big thing. Like now you have antagonists. And they're coming in, and now he's one of the little alien dudes puts a gun to his head. Now he has some antagonistic force against him. He's tested a little bit, right? And then he meets Han Solo and Chewbacca, and then boom. Okay, we're off, right? And then stage 3 is unification, transformation. So, approach, ordeal, reward. Part 4 is road back home, essentially. So in A New Hope, Star Wars, the first one, they go do the mission, and they go combat Darth Vader. They confront the opposition or the antagonist. In every story, you have a protagonist, which is the hero, and an antagonist, which is the villain. So they go approach Darth Vader. Obi-Wan dies in that conflict. Now, Luke is left to be his own mentor, essentially. He's left without his mentor, right? And so now he must return home after a bittersweet victory, but now as a transformed state. So he left home, the child leaves the nest, and then eventually comes back as a fully formed superhero. Gone out into the world, approached the world, gotten some experience, gotten some scars, licks the scars up, come back home, a new person. That's essentially what the hero's journey is all about. And we're constantly going through this over and over and over. So if you know that, then it becomes pretty easy to kind of like take it for what it is. Take it as just a cycle. You're going through this cycle right now. You're going through this journey of renewal, of going through your hero's journey. And you know this is true because each person goes through this. That's why they found out that every single successful movie in Hollywood adopts this formula. Every movie that's successful, that is. Think about it. Just think back to your favorite movies. Doesn't matter if it's a comedy, it's a romance, it's a drama, action, sci-fi. It all goes through this same cycle. There's a book called The Synchronicity Key by David Wilcock. I read that whole book, 500-page book. It's like, whoa, it's pretty wild, but a lot of it was based on this idea. And Joseph Campbell's like, he intuited this. He like downloaded this whole thing. But this has been playing on for eons. Greek mythology, the story of Hercules, right? It's the same exact thing. That's why I speak about archetypes all the time, because it's really archetypical understandings is what we're trying to get closer to. It's a relevance, it's a resonance. That's why when you watch a certain movie, Don't just take it as entertainment. Take it as a message. There's something there that if you watch a movie, don't watch stupid movies. Like, there's no point in that. Watch something that actually is inspirational, and there's a lot there. That's why I do watch movies, because I'm looking for new gemstones. I'm looking for new insights. Most of what I've done in my life is a byproduct of using exterior models for inspiration. Most of what I talk about in my book, so much of it has been brought on from watching other people or watching biographies or watching documentaries or movies. I've just pulled out things. Like, it might be a quote, but that quote will be powerful. That quote will lead me to a whole chapter sometimes, right? You can never underestimate those little insights, that time you spend. As long as you're integrated, you're like engaged with it, you can pull out life-transforming revelations.